Well, hello, everybody, and good afternoon. Welcome to Fundraising Bidness Talk. I'm Patrick Seibert with G Events, and it's so nice to have you join us today. We're excited about today's show. We have a great guest. She's going to share incredible information with us all about using wine in fundraising. It's going to be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, we're doing this at noon. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, but it's noon where we're at, so I'm stuck on the iced tea this afternoon. But just so excited to have you all join us. Want to encourage you to use the comments if you have a question or can just share with us where you're tuning in from today. We'd love to know who's watching and where you're from. And if you have a question, we're more than happy to answer it as best we can. And that would be fantastic. So without further ado, let me get into it. I'm so excited to welcome today Michelle Fritts. She's in business development at the Stoller Wine Group, and she does a phenomenal job. She's been a longtime partner of G Events and helping us with the nonprofits that we work with in fundraising, and we're so excited to have Michelle join us today. So let's welcome Michelle Fritts from Stoller Wine Group. How are you, Michelle?
Well, hello, Patrick. It's always good to see you. We do miss that in-person time, but nevertheless, this is the next best, and so happy that I could be here today with you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. I mean, I think this new world of virtual and stay-at-homes and all these different things, there's so much going on, and it's happening so fast. Things are changing so quick, as you know. And so I decided earlier this year that I was going to start every week and have a different subject and topic and share, what's the latest and greatest. And it was so awesome when I thought, and you reached out and said, hey, let's talk about wine and fundraising, because that's what it's all about. So let's kick off with, you're with Stoller Wine Group, but that is such a respected name. But I'm not sure that everybody understands exactly how big and what all Stoller does. So I wanted to run that quick video that you shot with me. Is that okay with you?
Go for it.
Let's take a look.
We're the Stoller Wine Group, and we're from Oregon, land of forests and deserts, mountains, coastlines, and Pinot Noir. We didn't move out here. We were born here. And where we come from, that means something. You can't make a great wine without appreciating the land it's grown on, its history, and those who came before us. We are 4 brands, but one company, bonded by a sense of place and our people. And with a bold vision for our future, we've grown faster than any other winery in Oregon. And we're just getting started. Our word means everything to us, and our partnerships matter. Because it's not just business to us, it's family. We're the Stoller Wine Group, and we're from Oregon.
How awesome is that piece, huh?
Can I just tell you, I get chills every time that I watch that. And it's one of those things that's just, I always say it, I love what I do. I love the people I work with. I love the wine we produce. And some days I just don't know which one's better.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal. And the team out at Stoller does a phenomenal job with their marketing videos. I love it so much. I get to see them. That one that you guys did here recently with the post start of COVID and how you were opening back up at one point when we were allowed to. That was my favorite, where how it came together so quickly, and it was so motivational and cool. So whenever I'm bored, I turn to the Stoller YouTube account so I can check out some of the latest and greatest. But hey, speaking of COVID, right? I mean, how has your business and moving to, from a fundraising component, you and I have worked together on a lot of projects over the years, with incorporating wine into our traditional gathering events. It's kind of a staple if you're going to have a gathering fundraising event that you need to have wine, right? And you guys have always been creative in how you participate and support the community and the nonprofits. But tell me what you're seeing as we move to the virtual events over the last 11 months.
Well, as you know, too, I mean, we were pivoting in March, right? I mean,
Right.
No one can forget any of that. But part of, the whole auction items and how we want to support our nonprofits is that communal effort. I mean, mine is very community oriented, and it kind of brings people together. So I always like to emphasize that, because it's that part that we can work together, and yet it's something that is appreciated.
Right.
But so what we were doing when all of our auctions and nonprofits are sitting there going, what are we going to do? And we decided, we actually started first, and I think we just briefly talked about it in our chat. We did making a case campaign that we pivoted literally in 2 weeks. And so we reached out to some of our nonprofit partnerships, and we did a collaboration with them, say, send us to your guests, your clients, the supporters of your group, and we will support in giving 50% back from whatever is sold on that. And it was a huge success, which actually leads perfect. It's like we've done this before, maybe.
Yeah. Well, we both have danced together, here we go, right?
But this is what I love about what we do, especially at Stoller Wine Group, is that we want to support. We have supported hundreds, and I am underestimating that, on the number of nonprofits over the years. And with that, part of it is that we were able to offer this buy one, get one. And so it's ultimately it's 50% off wine when you're providing that to the nonprofits. So we have found true value in this, as well as in our our donation aspect, but also in supporting multiple groups. So
right. And a lot of the organizations have really tried to figure out how to, and quite honestly, I kind of coach against this philosophy in some ways, but I think this is one element that works really well, is the getting those guests who are now attending virtually, and give them a subtle reminder. Nothing better than a nice bottle of Chehalem Pinot Noir or Stoller Pinot Noir to encourage them and remind them when the live stream is, and things of that nature. And so the more we can engage the client that way, and it not be so terribly challenging for the nonprofit to execute, which is one of the things that I think you guys have offered to help out, even in the execution of getting product to these folks.
Well, and I think having multiple brands as well helps in a price point too, depending on who your clients, your sponsors, your partners, your donors, what is that particular, what does that look like? So we have everything from, as I hinted, through the video. So we have our Stoller Family Estates, we have Chehalem, we have Chemistry, which is a combination of both of our winemakers from Stoller as well as from Chehalem, as they do a collaboration there. And then we have Canned Oregon. So for all of those things, if you're doing an outdoor event, which aren't we supposed to all be doing outdoor events, right?
Absolutely.
So that has been a huge hit, for some of these events that can, be smaller in size, but yet have the impact too. So
right.
That's why
I'm gonna switch to the next product promo you guys do, or I would say collaboration with the nonprofits, because I think it's phenomenal. It's something several of my clients have taken advantage of and had success with. But tell us about the unique program you have with private labels.
Well, what we try to aim is find a way that we can co-brand together. So the easiest way that we thought about this is let's make it a private label. So basically it's super straightforward. We work either with the artist graphic team of the nonprofit itself, or we can go to our fabulous team that we have within Stoller. Nevertheless, between both of those, we fine tune what that label looks like. We slap it on. We basically do all of that on our end. And then you're able to promote that effectively within your organization, showing it as a gratitude gift. I just think it has a lot of perks for, it's another way of validating, what you're doing, but yet showcasing your, again, like I said, gratitude, because that's huge these days. I mean, one of the things I think with nonprofits that needs to always be in the front is stewardship. How do you, offer that type of experience? And this is a very simple way. And the price point to this is very reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really cool because it can be unique to the year. And so this can be an ongoing program, right? It could be no different than the themes that nonprofits use for their gathering events, right? They create new artwork and a new theme, and what a great keepsake and a way for them to keep their name in front of those donors in providing them a nice bottle of wine that has a custom label on it that thanks them and reminds them of that great time they had, whether it was virtually or gathering. And it can be done annually, and people start to collect that stuff. I know that I have a collection, having done a few events for military groups, and Stoller has a rich history of providing some private label with some of the different honoring the Iraqi war and some of the other wars, and I have them right where they're visible because I think they're a great topic piece, and I think they're conversation piece, I should say, and it's just great product and a great way to remember those events. And so I'm a huge favor of this private label program that you guys do, and I think it's awesome too because you even do a private label on the back, right? So we could have a generous donor who wants to underwrite, is looking for a little bit of opportunity to show the community that they are supporting this nonprofit. They have an opportunity, and we can incorporate their logo, their name, acknowledgement for them underwriting the program on the back label of the bottle of wine. And so, we're talking about now you're in a situation where you're giving a nice gift to your supporters, but it's also being underwritten by someone who is benefiting.
Yeah,
right?
It's a total win-win. Absolutely.
It's a total win-win, and the thing I like about it is as we move into this virtual world, we're constantly looking for ways to capture some of those supporters or donors that sponsors that helped us in our gathering event. We no longer can sell the centerpieces. We don't have necessarily some of the elements, and so we're looking for some new elements that we can showcase their brand to our customers and our donors, and what a great way to do it with this custom label bottle of wine. Right. The other program, you take it a step further, and I think this is just couldn't be cooler, is doing some of these type of items. Share us about the virtual wine tasting fundraiser, because you've been doing a ton of these.
Oh, that's an underestimation. Yes, yeah. And I have one later today that I'm doing. Here's the thing. Most of us, I should say, but personally, I'm a people person. So right. I miss that connection that I can make with the clients that I usually see in person. Everybody is feeling this. I know that for a fact. And so right. When I try to do in regards, this program wasn't supposed to take off until springtime. And we literally in November flipped it and said, we're going to go forward with this. And we've got all of our kinks out, I think, as much as we can, and basically streamlined. So what it is that you send us your list. Again, it's promoted, and price point, again, with this is super reasonable. We include the shipping costs with it. You supply us a list with a name, email, phone number, because we do have to ship this through UPS. Signatures are required. because you have to be 21 or over.
Yes, yes.
So, but nevertheless, so they receive their kits. We have a scheduled date, either myself or one of our great wine ambassadors, or depending on the size, we can sometimes tap into our own winemakers too. So Melissa Burr from Stoller, as well as Katie Santora from Chehalem. We also have Kate with Stoller and Ben and Devin. I mean, we have such a great team behind us that we can make this experience as spirited as you want, because we all like to have some fun, but nevertheless, make this educational too, tying in the nonprofit and the mission that you want to, produce during that time too. So we have done all sorts, from 15 minutes to an hour. Hours kind of like the max, as we all know, keeping attention and all of that. But we have inserts. We can co-brand with this. So if you have any, PR pieces, we can put that in the box as well. So there's a lot to put in this little box of, 5 great varietals, but nevertheless, it's been a huge win-win for us again, and it's just, figuring out how to make these little vials. And I think it's, I look forward to them. They're super fun.
Yeah, no, they're awesome. And it's a great way to stay in touch with your donors. And I'm sure there's an occasional ask or a soft ask during some of these to support the nonprofit. And if there's not, there should be, right?
That's when they need to dial in with you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm available. This new environment where we're doing everything during the week instead of on the weekends is outstanding for us in the business. I mean, it feels like I got, I used to have 52 Saturdays. Now I got, a whole bunch of days available, right? So, but no, I think it's a great way to entertain, whether it's hosting these virtual wine tastings. I've seen them even as auction packages, right? And we've sold a few of these type of programs, and then others have been more of a thank you. I've seen them used as during the pre-show, right? So for a certain group of folks leading into the main live stream of a virtual event, having a wine tasting, virtual wine tasting, get folks in the mode. It kind of replaces that social hour environment that maybe they had before. Exactly. So there's so much potential, and the fact that you guys are doing this at a great price point for the nonprofits is very generous on behalf of the Stoller Wine Group. And then you've got another program that I think is way cool too, which is your gift sets program. Tell us about that.
So kind of on the tails of our tasting kits, is using them as promotional pieces or thank you gifts. This is kind of the next elevation of that, because these are obviously the bottles, but we have different sizes. If they're splits, otherwise known as 375s, the smaller bottles, to our regular 750s. But our presentation, I think, is spectacular. Just because it provides the professional, especially if you want to recognize your sponsors in a unique way, that, again, putting material in or what have you. I'm working with some organizations right now that are putting their newsletter within the box and sending it out that way, which is another, again, something that you already have that you don't have to reinvent, that can fit in this great, 16 by 16 box. And again, all of this is handled in-house with us. This is the beauty of having shipping, boxing, wine. It's kind of like your one-stop shopping.
Well, and I think it goes beyond that, right? And I think we kind of got to connect the dots for folks in the viewership here, because one of the things that I've noticed in talking to nonprofits over the last however long through this pandemic has been that many of them are really short-handed. The demand for their services has grown astronomically, exponentially in many cases, and yet many of them relied on volunteers to help provide their services that they provide to the community in the past. And with the pandemic, it's been very difficult to utilize volunteers, which means if their only option has been if they had paid staff, a lot of those staffs have had to be repurposed in what they're doing. They used to have certain roles, and now they're on the front lines in many cases. And so the programs that you offer, whether it's through the private label, whether it's through the virtual wine tastings, and now the gift kits that we're talking about, the gift sets, these are all things that are really turnkey opportunities for these nonprofits to take advantage of. And I think that's what's really should be welcoming from the nonprofit community also, is that these aren't difficult for them to execute, right? Because, what I heard you say is, hey, send us the list of where you want them to go, and we'll take it from there. And I think we can all find time to make that list of those best donors or those key volunteers, quite honestly, that are still helping you through this tough time, that are masking up and showing up to still do the services that they've done for us in the past in the nonprofit world. Wow. What a great way to send them a nice thank you with a specially boxed set.
Absolutely. And I think what I'm hearing you say, it's about engagement,
right?
And how to, how to make sure that you can recognize, but yet fulfill some of the needs you need to do as a nonprofit. Again, that stewardship word comes back again and again and again. So
well, and you kind of like to think, whether it's the private label that's on display in my dining room when we're allowed to have guests again, they're going to show up and they're going to say something about, wow, how'd you get this? And I'm going to say, well, I did this event. This nonprofit does this really cool project, and da 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 da. I think it's an investment, is really what I'm saying, Michelle. And here's another opportunity, right? This could be underwritten by a sponsor. You could incorporate some marketing piece or recognition that it was underwritten by a company or an individual in support of that nonprofit, and incorporate that into the box set also, right? So
that's a simple ask, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, and I always look, where is that low-lying fruit, especially when in my old nonprofit days, when I was on the other side. I mean, it's like, what is that I can do easily, simply, but yet the biggest bang for the buck?
Well, and I exactly. And, as I think about it, I talked with our mutual friend, Michelle Anderson, last week about consignment packages and, segueing, but I'm not quite there yet. But the point is that, I always use the example, we had a lot of people that bought tables at our event, at our gathering events in the past. And, there's not really, initially, you don't think there's a lot that we can do for those people in a virtual event. We don't have 8 chicken dinners, right, to pass them out in the virtual world. And I highly encourage them not to do that, right? Because like we were joking the other day, one of the best things about virtual is nobody's gotten a cold meal or stood in line too long for their glass of wine, right?
Yeah.
But those people who have spent that $1,000, $1,500, $2,500 for a table, they did that because they support your organization and they care about your organization. And I think it's a great opportunity to ask them, saying, hey, you've been able to do this in the past and we're extremely grateful. We've got this other opportunity that we're trying to extend and show appreciation to our supporters. And we thought it'd be a great way to incorporate your name and show your support again. Would you be willing to underwrite this? I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a couple of names on this.
Right.
To get to cover wherever, depending on how many you're sending out. So cool stuff. And then, the one, of course, being an auctioneer, my favorite thing that you guys are doing, because I always look forward to seeing this in the catalog of any event that I'm doing. But you're doing you have some guest homes there on the properties, and tell us what you're doing with those.
Well, we do. And maybe because I like her name, Michelle, but nevertheless, your guest.
1L. That's Michelle with 1L, not 2, 1.
Oh, you know what? I had to bring that up.
Yeah.
But she's been a great partner with us because we are fortunate enough between our properties, specifically at Stoller Family Estates and Chehalem, we're actually able, we have 5 houses that, when you're working from home and you need to have that workation, these are hot items right now, especially in our auction world. And so what we try to do, depending on the level of investment within your wine purchase, sometimes we're able to, add one of these homes as a say thank you from our end to you. But also we're able to collaborate, like with Michelle and Auction Packages, of putting together a package already for you, so you don't have to go out and try to make your own package. Again, this is something that we put together ourselves, saving you time and energy. Basically, you could have this, pre-put in your auction 2 weeks in advance and have this. We were talking about this, Patrick.
Right.
Having these live auction items ahead of time and seeing that progression. There's so many opportunities that we have within Stoller, and to know that we can actually, with the gratefulness from Bill, our owner, that we're able to, offer these as well as part of our portfolio to our nonprofit friends.
Absolutely. And I can come from where I sit and what I watch. Procurement is a challenge right now, right? Whether it's, mentally or it's just reality. I think a lot of nonprofits are struggling with, how do we go and ask people to donate in this environment, right? And I always encourage them, hey, look, folks, the reality is that your services are under a great amount of demand, and you need people's support to do that. So, I always encourage them, hey, it's okay to say, we understand if you can't support us, but we wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't ask, right? But in this environment, what I love about these, especially for our friends here in Oregon, is that, where they used to go to hotels and ask. The hotel business is struggling big time, right, as we know, and extremely challenged. And those doors are really hard to open up right now for our nonprofit community. And yet, here we go. Here is we're not asking for a private resident necessarily to give up their second home, but we've got homes right here in the Oregon market that people can drive to, and they can go and know that it's professionally cleaned and know that it's a first-class experience, and right on the property at these wineries. Wow, really an incredible thing that you guys are doing, and that you're making them even more available. That's awesome.
And so with the houses too, usually there are tasting, opportunities to match the number of, guests that are staying in the house that's being offered. So, it's an all-inclusive, basically, without the air or travel, but nevertheless, it is the home, it's the tasting, and then we basically, set you up with a concierge to.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this screen full screen, because I want people to be able to see. These homes. One accommodates 8, the other one accommodates 12. The third one there, the cottage, Wine Country Cottage, accommodates 6 people. So these are wonderful for staycations. That staycation package, and really, supporting local too, right? I mean, it's.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. I mean, it's just way too cool. I just love it.
And then we also have 2 more homes on the Chehalem properties as well. One at the production facility at Corral Creek, which is an awesome, just a cottage that also is up to 8 people. It's the original. It's actually burnt down. They built it up when we had the property in 1980. It housed a bunch of our interns for many, many years. So that house has been refurbished. It's beautiful. And then we also have another piece of property off our Bell Road, which is our newest, and that is up to 14 people. So again, not that all of these houses are available all the time, but what we'd like to do is, if something works within our needs to fulfill the nonprofit's wants, we're going to do our best to do that.
Yeah, no, that's just, it's phenomenal stuff, and I'm just overwhelmed. I don't know that people have any concept of how much Stoller Wine Group gives back to the community, and the phenomenal support that you guys have done. It's so great, and just like the video says, we're an Oregon company, right? And I think that means a ton to the people here.
Oh, I don't mean to. I'm so sorry. But one of the things that Bill instills in all of us when we have our conversations is that he goes, I want to have a business that's not around just for the short term. He goes, this is my family's land. So just for all of those, the Stoller Family Estate actually was a turkey farm that was part of his family for many, many years. And so wow. Bill purchased that land and transformed it into the beautiful Stoller Family Estate that we know today. So with that, he's like, I want this business to last more than 200 years. So his act of wanting, obviously, to have an incredible winery and, facilities to offer, he wants this to actually be an agricultural, a community. Another reason, we're a B Corp. Not a lot of people know that we are a B Corp organization, which is about sustainability, both in the business atmosphere as well as in the agricultural and be sustainable and what have you. So we have so many different, we could talk about all the great things, but nevertheless, how wine can assist in your nonprofits is where we are right now. And we're happy that we are able to do that for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, these tough times, I'm just overly impressed and in awe of the commitment that you folks have to others, right? And so I applaud Bill and Gary and the whole team at Stoller Wine Group for their vision and their commitment to that vision. Is just awesome. Let's talk a little bit about the future, though, right? Because we're all looking forward, right? I know yesterday the governor gave us a little bit of a reprieve in some parts of our state, and others they went backwards, which I understand Yamhill County was in that backwards one yesterday, but that's unfortunate. But let's talk a lot, because I hear it, auctions aren't planned overnight. You've been involved in tons of them, right? And so we're not in a position to have somebody tell us, hey, you can open up next week and now we're going to, gather a couple hundred people and have an event, right? It doesn't work that way. We have to plan out further in advance. And so people are asking, I know I've booked virtual events all the way through November right now, November of 21, which is kind of amazing to me. Right. But they all ask the same question. What do we see in the future? And you and I've talked, and I think we're on the same page, but I love the concept that we're going to continue to live stream. Folks, there's too many benefits to live streaming, whether it's the increased audience, whether it's potential for an increased audience, whether it's the development of new donors, right? Because we're online auctions and people are coming into them because they're looking to purchase something on the online auction, and they become a follower and a supporter of that organization. You have access to them. And the other thing is that virtual and live streams don't get canceled. Okay. I can live stream, you're in your home, I'm in my home. Right. I've raised a lot of money sitting right here on this couch this last year doing virtuals from home or in a studio, right?
Absolutely.
But the future, I think, and the way I describe it to people is that I'm looking forward to us being able to add a studio audience. And what I mean by that, Michelle, is that if you could picture attending a taping of a late night television show or Saturday Night Live or the Ellen Show or something like that, where the show is being broadcast, but it also has a small studio audience. And from an auctioneer standpoint, I love that concept, right? Because we can turn around and we can have people bidding in the room with us, right, and online simultaneously. I mean, we can take bids in the house. We can have, I know my friends at the AV department have already invested in some robotic cameras where they will be able to show the audience in these virtual events. And so, you can imagine the energy. It'll be exciting for me as an auctioneer to be standing in front of live people taking bids again. But the concept would be is that they can show people raising their bid paddle and supporting that organization. And that's great, because that tells the audience on the live stream that, hey, people believe in this cause and believe in this reason. What I also find incredibly exciting, right, is the fact that this opens up all sorts of new venues that wouldn't have traditionally been used for our traditional big gala type of events, right? A lot of smaller, a lot of more unique, casual environments. I mean, people say, what's the agenda look like, Patrick? And I say, well, I think you whatever society will allow, okay? And what I mean by that is there's going to be government
driven, and it is
answers, right? But I think what we've seen in the last year is that even when we are allowed to say come back together in a big group, there's going to be a lot of folks that are not comfortable doing that, right? And they've decided that they like watching it on their computer or on their smart TV.
Mhm.
And so I look at it and say, you know, we've got to have some unique environments. So I see that agenda looking like, hey, that small group gets together for a social hour, okay? And then they're escorted into where we're going to be live streaming from, and they sit and they watch the show. And then after that, then they, you know, and they participate, they raise their bid paddles, they do all those things. And then afterwards, maybe we have a little dessert function, or we could serve them a full dinner afterwards. But I think, you know, it's just the canvas is pretty clear right now. But what I love is the idea of taking these events to some different venues. And when I think of different venues, I think of the incredible properties that Stoller has. And let's talk a little bit about this.
You got it. No, and I'm totally on page with you, 100% in all of that, because we are going to have those people that want to go out and about, but we're going to have those that still want to have that comfort of home. And I know that, you know, possibly doing 1 to 2 type of events in a weekend, depending on how that is, if I can do 2 of those at my house, how great is that? Because I'm able to participate and support,
Right.
all by being, you know, through this virtual type of atmosphere. But
Yeah.
you were asking about opportunities when we get to entertain once again.
Right.
These are just a sample, and we have the flexibility size-wise and location-wise, depending on what you're looking for. So the one that I'm showing you first that has a beautiful deck as well as the umbrellas, that is our new experience center. And the picture up on the right, it is phenomenal. It is your 21st century welcomes. We have, you know, when you do have that larger entity that you need to entertain, we have that space. Over 350 people. I know it seems ridiculous to even throw that number out right now, but we will be able to be doing that in that space at some time, some point.
Yeah.
And so what happens, the doors open up, a screen comes down. It's magnificent. We have a huge TV screen that can actually be visual for your, you know, auction items, what have you. Plus we have boardrooms on this location site too. So if your space is only needing maybe that smaller group of 15 to 30, we have that space available too. If you need to use kind of that eclectic atmosphere, something that's a little bit more casual, Chehalem, which is in downtown Newburgh. And that location is, you know, it's one of my heart throbs there. That's where my life with Chehalem and the Stoller Wine Group started. But definitely that space has all of modern conveniences as well. All of these locations have Chef Becca as part of our own, you know, food entity too. So depending on what needs. And then and I did not include in these slides, we have our evergreen relationship, as we are proud to be part of that. So we have the Space Museum, the lodge there. There's boardroom facilities in that location. So if the McMinnville site and you're doing some type of work, you know, in that area, that's fabulous too. And then, which we'll be announcing and showcasing on Friday, is we have a Bend location now opening up in the Box Mill area. And that facility is going to be a tasting room again, representing all of our brands, but has space for auctions as well as board meetings, meet and greets, your silence, whatever that creativity that you're looking for space. We basically have some type of answer and would love to work. I mean, it's what we do. We want to make sure that we can convey, you know, this community and what your needs are to help foster the great things that the organizations do.
Yeah. No, it's phenomenal. I've been lucky enough to have been attended and toured several times the new Experience Center, and I'm in awe of it. And I think it's a phenomenal facility. The catering is always impeccable. The AV equipment that's in place there is outstanding. We're going to be live streaming an event there this spring, right? And We don't know how many people can be able to attend yet in this hybrid format, but we're going to, take advantage of whatever they'll allow us to have. And it's just a phenomenal place. But, each of these places you talked about, Michelle, you can go, virtually today, right? The Experience Center, you could use the main tasting room there at Stoller Family Estates. You can go to the Chehalem facility and check them out yourself and experience. And I think you touched on it, but the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum is a phenomenal physical plant. And I know I was working with a group earlier this fall, somewhat connected to the family and to the Stoller Group, that we looked at doing something there, but we couldn't gather, so we chose not to. But what an incredible space. And I think we think of the water park and we think of the museum components, but if you want to pick a unique venue to have your guests gather in an unbelievably unique environment, Evergreen Aviation and Air Museum or Space Museum is a phenomenal location. And I was shocked as Terry and the group toured me around all the different conference rooms and small spaces, and then to have, look out the windows of that meeting room space and to see, these airplanes and these spaceships and all the incredible things. And to hear Gary talk about his vision for the Museum of the Future, if you will.
Right.
It's going to be an incredible destination. And I encourage folks, as you're starting to think about where you're going to do that next level of event, right?
Well, education driven, right, Patrick? I mean,
Absolutely.
especially for education groups, and we're talking about, what is the future? I mean, here is a great backdrop for you.
Yeah. No, it's
talk about where, science was at one point and where we're going. So
yeah. No, it's phenomenal. And the winery properties themselves just have, especially this Experience Center, such a lifestyle brand to it. I mean, you can see in the photos, this is not, some hoity-toity, I'm going to say,
but it's family oriented. I mean, bottom line is we want to be comfortable. We want our family. We want to be able to bring our dogs, that's part of it too. We're not able to do that right now. Just note to self, when you make that reservation, dogs are not allowed yet.
Yeah. Unless no mask dogs. But yeah, no, you guys have done such a phenomenal job of just being a part of the community. I mean, you're an Oregon brand. I think we all have to be incredibly proud of what the Stoller Wine Group has accomplished nationwide, but the amount that you invest back into the community in the ways we've shared today are just phenomenal. And thank you for all that you do for everybody in our communities, and continue making that great product. Is there anything else that we've missed today that you want to share with the group?
Well, on behalf of Bill, I mean, definitely he would be super appreciative of that. I am just glad I'm a vehicle that I can actually, put and make connections. I mean, that's the beauty of what business development does, is that you're trying to find, dots over the I's, crossing the T's. How can we make this collaboration work most effectively? That is my ultimate goal as a biz dev girl, but also working with nonprofits is also one of my niche markets. So if there is some type of need that you're looking for your nonprofit, I would hope, please give me a call. I'm always listening to, how I can assist in, making a more successful event for you.
Yeah. No, thank you so very much for joining us and taking time out of your busy schedule. I can't wait for that next virtual tasting or maybe a weekend away down at one of the houses, or just the opportunity to catch up over a great glass of Stoller Pinot. So thank you very, very much for joining us, Michelle. And folks, if you've got any questions, reach out, let us know. Hey, here's a friend, I think, of both of ours, our buddy Steve Walla. Yeah, huh? Talk about softball, baseball. You talk about athletics in the state of Oregon. What a great guy. Steve is doing incredible things right there in Newburgh.
He is.
Yeah.
Good to hear from him.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for reaching out, Steve. So Michelle, until we meet again, thank you so very much. And people can go to stollerwinegroup.com and reach out or drop a line in the comment box, and I'll be able to forward on to Michelle any inquiries that we hear, and she'll be happy to teach you all about how to use wine and fundraising. So thank you very much, Michelle. Appreciate you joining us. All right, bye-bye. Folks, well, that'll wrap up fundraising Bidness Talk, episode 6. It's great to have Michelle Fritts on with us, and she was a wealth of knowledge and all the incredible things that Stoller Wine Group does for our community and for our nonprofits. So thank you for tuning in today, catching the replay wherever you may watch the show. Just remember, the last bid wins, and we will be with you next week and have another exciting guest for you to learn about what's the latest and greatest in the auction business. Have a great day.